Yes. Okay, very good. Continue. All right. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Patricia Shelby. I go by Pat, and welcome to our South Sacramento Florin Community Engagement and Community Air Protection meeting. So our steering committee members present tonight, as I call your name, please confirm that you are here. Bishop Chris Baker.
Here.
Gary Johansson. I'm here, Patricia Shelby. Rhonda Henderson.
Present.
Thank you. Stephanie Williams.
Present.
Thank you. Vincent Valdez.
Here.
Thank you. Steve Blanton.
I'm here.
Thank you. Bill Knowlton will be joining us later. He is in a city council meeting tonight. I will ask again, Gary, we did not hear you. Gary Johansson, unmute yourself, please. All right, Gary, are you present? Gary, can you hear? Gary just muted himself again. Okay, he is here. Gary, I couldn't hear your voice, but I'm thinking that you're here. I can see you. All right. Okay, let's see. Our
Pat, I guess we'll just, with that, we confirm a quorum exists.
Quorum does exist. Yes, it does. So, Ariel, do you have a roster of any of our other guests who are with us that we know?
Well,
so
Mark,
Ariel,
would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, so I can take care of this real quick. So Mark Lautsnizer with the district, still here for tonight's meeting. Ariel, obviously you're, if you'd like to just confirm you're here as facilitator.
All right.
And then we have Jennifer from CARB is here as well.
Hi, Jennifer. Okay. We are, this is kind of a combo meeting.
We don't have anybody from the public this time?
I don't see any other participants at this time.
Okay.
Yeah, there was one other person that had come into the waiting room a moment ago, Vincent. And I went and I allowed everyone in at this time, and the waiting room is now closed, so anyone can just come in. But it looks like they weren't in the waiting room when I went to admit.
Okay. I'm just curious why there's nobody here with us today, as opposed to like all the other regular meetings. So maybe we should look into figuring out where's everybody at, or did they get the email link, or was there something lost in the transition?
I think part of what it is may also be, and again, not that there aren't some members of the public as well, but a lot of times what you're seeing is other district staff and CARB staff as well. But we can certainly check on that. But we did use the same notification system for this meeting. And it is also posted to the district website the same as when we've had our other meetings as well. So we did not treat the notification for this meeting was treated exactly the same as all other meetings, as will future monthly meetings as well.
Okay.
Now, Vincent, I did receive an email from Victoria Vasquez from Sacramento Tree Foundation saying that she could not meet with us tonight, but that she would be looking at the recording.
And
okay,
Steve has his hand up too.
Okay, Steve.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to point out, and you mentioned this with Bill, there is a city council meeting tonight. And so I think there might be some, attention divided at this point. I know there was a request for me to be there as well. So sometimes you just have to make choices in what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for deciding to be with us, Steve. Appreciate you.
It's true. All right.
Are we ready for the agenda review?
Can we review the agenda? And yes, please do.
Okay, so folks, as you know, we had a steering committee closed session to just get oriented towards our new scheduling approach. We will have a short, brief district update and then turn it over to the outreach subcommittee to report back and to consider potential allocation of funds for outreach and hear from members of the public if they are present, and then talk about potential topics for future agenda items and for future meetings. We'll have a general public comment time set aside, and then we have a Zoom basics training to support the steering committee members in holding their own Zoom meetings, and then adjourning. And that,
our welcome and our introduction. I think that the next piece is with the district update and what changes are happening with quarterly versus monthly meetings. The logistics piece of it. So if you need to message the host or co-host, and tonight the host and co-host are Mark and Ariel. If you're having technical difficulties, you can go ahead and message them during the steering committee discussion period or during public comment. Each person who wants to speak will need to raise their virtual hand, and we'll actually have a lesson about that virtual hand a little bit later, but that should be found in the lower portion of your screen, and either the participants or their reactions, depending on what version of Zoom you have. On the click either participants or reactions, then press that raised hand. On the phone, dial *9 to raise your virtual hand, and please state your name and affiliation if you would. When you are called, please unmute yourself on the app or the phone, and on the phone you would have to press *6. Okay? Let's continue.
Let's see here. District update.
Okay, so just two very quick items. One, we've actually already talked about both of them a bit before. The first one I just want to remind everyone of is there is the convening, 6/17 convening happening in September. I just looked at the calendar, so I should remember this, but it's the 27th and 29th of September. These will be held virtually over Zoom. They are both in the evening. All steering committee members are invited to attend. We have already forwarded over a couple of emails from the conveners at UC Davis. So if anyone has any questions, the convener himself is probably actually the best source. If you do have any questions, happy to answer them at this time. I do encourage and hope everyone can, or as many of you as possible can make it. I think there's gonna be some good sharing of information and perspectives from both steering committees across the state. Districts and CARB will also be in attendance this year. So hopefully just a lot of good information being shared across the board. So I know it's another couple commitments, but hopefully everyone can make it. The second piece, Ariel, if you don't mind just pulling back up, even though I don't think we have any members of the public on right this moment, I still want to share this and have this as part of the recording.
Oh, there we go. Can everyone see that?
So this is just something we will have present as part of the slide deck for your community engagement meetings going forward. Just again, reiterating, we are committed to implementing 6/17 here in our South Sacramento Foreign community. Because of the resource commitment issues, we are switching to district hosting regular meetings on a quarterly basis, but the South Sacramento Foreign Steering Committee yourselves have agreed and decided you would definitely want to continue meeting on that fourth Tuesday. Understanding September, you may move it slightly because of the convening bookending it. But normally you'll be meeting on a monthly basis, and these will be referred to as the community engagement and subcommittee meetings, as an opportunity to be getting additional feedback, word back from any subcommittee meetings, an opportunity to be hearing from the public on different areas, and then also then be able to break out into subcommittee meetings as you see fit for that. This doesn't change any of the public's opportunity to engage in the regular quarterly meetings either. It's just that the thought was to go ahead and make that even a bigger focus in those monthly meetings. And all members of the public are welcome to attend both the monthly meetings and, of course, the quarterly meetings as well. Thank you, Ariel.
Okay. Are there any other comments or questions regarding that? If not, we'll move forward in the agenda.
Is that what we decided, or is that what we were told we were going to do? Because it's worded like we decided. Did we vote on that?
Are you saying?
Go ahead.
Vincent, I'm just clarity. Which part of the we are we talking about? Did we vote on what part? Are you asking about?
Well, bring up that little statement right there again. And it says we decided, the steering committee decided. So I don't know, did we vote on changing it to that, or we were just told?
And let me just say for clarity, what I'm hearing, I think I'm hearing, is you're asking.
I'll read it. The
Okay.
AB 67 South Sacramento Flooring Community Steering Committee members have decided to continue to meet on the fourth Tuesday of each month in between the quarterly meetings. Did we decide that, or we were just told that's what we're going to do?
Well, no.
I don't remember voting.
You know, Vincent, we didn't. It was a point of discussion, and the concern was if we didn't, that we could lose momentum. But if you want to put a motion forward to vote on that, please do. Yes, Bishop Chris Baker. Question.
I'm having a hard time understanding something here where it says 617 steering committee members to meet on the fourth Tuesday of each month in between the quarterly meetings. I'm confused right there. So
the district is moving to quarterly. The district staff is moving to quarterly meetings that they can be able to maintain within their budget. The discussion at our last meeting was the desire to continue to meet as the steering committee, to continue to meet monthly so that we could still continue to make progress on some of the new outreach efforts and that are going on, opening up to listening sessions, opening up to training. That could happen for this group, the steering committee, and the public in between the quarterly sessions that the district has budgeted for themselves to be able to participate fully.
So this is where I'm confused at. So we're going to continue meeting monthly, but the district won't be meeting with us. They'll do their meeting quarterly with us?
Yeah, roughly. That's it. Yes.
Okay.
And there's more. There will be no voting decisions made at our meetings, only at the quarterly meetings, correct?
Vincent, please repeat that.
And also at our regular monthly meetings that we're meeting without the district, there will be no voting decisions made. The voting decisions will only be made at the quarterly meetings with the Air District and CARB staff.
The action items, yes, would happen quarterly.
Yeah.
The action.
So that's what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Pat, just a point of clarification. We actually haven't gotten to the point of discussing this because we would do it in the outreach discussion, but there is going to be a discussion of some approval to allocate outreach funding by email by the steering committee. So just a little wrinkle.
Okay. Because I was getting ready to chime in. This is Rhonda. Okay.
And the only thing I might add to that is, I think it's not that there won't be any actions coming or any, and it gets into the semantics of actions and other things. You know, for example, like if in your monthly meeting you guys decide you need another subcommittee, you know, that's not going to stand in the way, you know, as long as you guys still just go through and make votes. And it just may be that there may be some things you're looking at that may end up being more guidance that will then come back during the quarterly meeting. Hopefully the goal will be that if there are things that are, you know, immediate and of interest, that then it's not getting held up at the quarterly basis, Vincent.
Right.
And so I think there's going to be a little bit of just of a learning curve on both our ends. And just be straight up, like when Bill, Pat, and I were talking about this, you know, we started putting in initially just, you know, there was almost like some guardrails. And then the thought process was like, let's just try this for the next couple of months. Let's not worry so much about, you know, so firmly tying everything in, you know, so let's not, as a district, let's not try and be a hindrance on this to begin with. Let's sort of see and how the next couple of months are going to play out, and we're going to learn as we go, and hopefully a way that can be good for the committee moving forward. And to your point, if this is what the committee wants on a monthly basis.
Okay, I'll wait till we get to my part.
Can I just confirm, Chris, were you done? You're on mute.
You're on mute, Chris.
Yeah.
Great.
It's hard to understand you, Chris.
Yeah, it's and we are going to be we are going to be having movement. We're going to be taking actions. The issue is, are they critical actions that are a demonstrable change from what we've done before? Then, you know, we're going to have the district weigh in on something like that. Or are we continuing on the same path that we've already laid out, that we are approval? And we'll talk about that a little bit more as we move forward in the outreach and the budget discussion about that.
So maybe you just should and the steering committee members will continue to meet on the fourth Tuesday of each month. We didn't decide to do anything.
Do you want
to? That's just wording things, but I mean, technically that's showing that we made a decision when we didn't.
Okay. Vincent, would you like to propose that there be a decision, or would you like a different decision?
No, we didn't make a decision, and I'm not going to go back and make a decision. I'm just saying the way it's written here is misleading.
Okay, so it sounds like you would prefer that be rewritten.
And that's how I felt last month's meeting was after it was presented about the quarterly meetings. And we were talking about it like, is this what you guys want to do? And then we were already moving forward. The decision was already made before our meeting. And so it was kind of like, I don't know, but yeah, that's just how it felt.
So what I can do for sure on this paragraph, Vincent, is we can delete the have decided. I think that was your suggestion there on that paragraph. Certainly the quarterly aspect is just what the district is able to do from a budget perspective. So you're right, that part wasn't something we were bringing forward as a decision. If the committee would like to firm up in terms of monthly or not, but certainly as the paragraph is written right now, we'll just strike have decided at a minimum, unless there's additional action that you guys would like to take.
Steve Blanton has comment.
Yeah, thank you. I guess I'm unmuted now. Yeah, my recollection is we did discuss this, and by consensus decided that we wanted to go forward to meet on the fourth Tuesday of every month. But it's right to point out that maybe we need a motion on this. So I will make that motion to continue to meet on the fourth Tuesday of every month in between quarterly meetings.
I'll second that motion. This is Stephanie.
Okay, we have a motion by Steve Blanton, a second by Stephanie Williams. And we will go through and have a roll vote. Thank you. All right, and now Bill Knowlton has joined us. Did you hear the motion on the bill?
Yes, I did, and I vote in the affirmative.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve, for bringing that motion forward.
Thank you. Bishop Chris Baker, what is your vote?
Yes.
Gary Johansson, what is your vote?
Yes.
My name is next, and mine is yes. Rhonda Henderson, what is your vote?
Yes.
Stephanie Williams, what is your vote?
Yes.
Tito Hung, what is your vote?
Yes, ma'am, that's a yes.
Vincent Valdez, what is your vote?
I abstain.
All right, we have two other members who are not here. We have a quorum present, and the vote has passed with one abstention. All right.
Right.
So thank you very much, everyone, for that. What is our next item on the agenda?
Me.
Outreach.
Outreach. Okay.
Or me.
All right. So we had a meeting last week. And
Rhonda,
yes?
Rhonda, I have a beautiful view of your ear.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So we met last week. And first of all,
Nice
I wanted
earrings.
to... What's that?
Nice earrings.
Oh, thank you.
And we're talking about the outreach committee, right?
Yes, the outreach committee, yes.
Okay.
I would like to apologize because I think I had Steve Blanton, Jesus, I don't know his last name, Adrian Ram, and Carlos Fernandez all volunteered to help us with the committee. And I have two identical notebooks. So I've been using both and I couldn't find the other. So I need to reach out to them so I can put them to work too if they're still interested. And Steve, you can be exempt because I know you got things on your plate right now that you have to deal with. So
maybe just for the short term, I appreciate that, but long term, I'd still be happy to help out if needed.
Okay, I appreciate that. So anyway, what we did, we had questions at the very beginning. Our question was, what can we spend money on and how do we get authorization for spending the money? And how often do we have to go back and get authorization? And I heard you say that there'll be quarterly meetings in between our monthly meetings and that we would get $5,000 approved tonight. This is what I saw in the chat and I heard. So suppose we have something we want to do that goes over that in addition to the 5, we need a little bit more money. We have to wait till the quarterly meeting to do this?
I thought we should ask for more money too, Rhonda. Thanks for bringing that up.
So let's also be clear. The outreach committee is coming up with a plan, but the decisions about the dollars have to come back to the steering committee as a whole.
We get that, but
yeah, and so
we're here as a whole,
right? So in that discussion, Rhonda, not knowing what's on there because we haven't discussed that, what those monies are. That is also, that's the money that we have. So do we want to spend everything at once, or do we want to come up with an allotment and see where we need to be adding for the future, or what? Those are part of the things with that discussion.
Okay, I think that we need to ask for the first allotment to be more than 5,000. So we might be working on things simultaneously, like setting up our website, like print material that we need to get out to the community and that type of thing. And I don't want us to be hindered in time waiting for the next quarterly meeting to get approval.
So there
has to be another way to get approval in between that quarterly meeting. That's what I'm saying. That's what I believe. So,
okay. And there also needs to be a general discussion about the items that we're wanting to utilize, what they're going to cost, what's the hit to that $25,000 budget, and is that the highest priority that we should decide? And that's why these opportunities we will have the opportunity to be able to be hearing back from the outreach committee about what that is, so that the steering committee can be able to say, hey, yeah, that sounds good. Or, you know, that sounds like something that we need to have more information about before we make a decision to say, let's go with that and let's you know, dedicate that level of dollars to it.
Okay, so we plan.
Are you opposed to us asking for more money? Because there are three.
No. Vincent, don't get me wrong. I'm not opposed to it. I don't know what's being asked for, and I don't know what's being put out forward, because
there are three steering committee members.
We have not had the opportunity to have that discussion. That's what I'm saying.
So folks,
that's coming back. Yeah.
As we're getting a little more informal and comfortable with each other, which is great, we are also starting to forget to raise hands and do that kind of a thing and talking in among each other. Right. So just a reminder, if we can all raise hands, and I will try to call on you one by one. And remember, you're all there. Here's the steering committee. You can all propose what you think and see what your fellow members think about it.
Right. I'm looking at the idea of proposing an alternate way, in addition to what you've already proposed as the steering committee, a way to get things approved and discussed so that you can be informed and decided in between the quarterly meeting. That's all. And maybe asking for a little bit more up front so that we don't have to keep coming back and waiting to see, you know. So that's one of the things that we talked about. Like, for instance, Janice was at our meeting, and she gave us some flyers, and I think I sent it to you, Pat, and Bill, so you could be aware of it. And it's about the wildfires, and it gives you some tip. It's a tip card, and it's in different languages: Spanish, English, Vietnamese, Chinese, Russian, and some other languages. I didn't get it all. It's in it's available right now in digitally and hard copy. But we're waiting for the hard copy. That's not ready yet. And this one's not free. I think we have another free one. So there may be a cost involved with using that. So we need to know how many we're gonna send out and what that cost would be. So Janice has to get back to us on that. We're talking about maybe putting together, Janice suggested this, a social media kit. We don't know what that looks like, but we will be talking about it. One of the things we talked about was some type of incentive for maybe indoor air purifier as a community solution to our quality problem, our air quality problem, okay? Because we know that using an effective filter, and it decreases the bad air about 80%, okay? Let's see. And so that was my main concern and questions about it. We have been told that we can use your Zoom account when you for our meetings, and you guys will train us and let us know how to do that and turn it over so that we can get it. We have to probably get on your calendar so that can happen. And I think that was it. Did I miss anything? Vincent, and who else was at the meeting?
Tito.
Tito. I don't see Juan on here. Yeah.
I think web design was one of them we didn't talk about either.
Right, web design. Well, I delegated some tasks to 3 members. Vincent, who else? Tito, and who was the other one? It was Juan. I think it was Juan.
And Victoria.
And Victoria's doing something different. She's doing the mapping one, I believe, right? For the map.
She's doing the personal stories and reaching out with me to Adrian. So Adrian will reach out.
Right. So you and Victoria are going to be working on that task, and then you and Juan and Tito are going to be working on coming up with some strategy for designing a website. And I mentioned during the meeting that there's like 5 tips that need to be incorporated in our website. So those 5 tips, I didn't bring that upstairs with me, but I think I can recall them. You have to set your goal. What's the purpose of your website? You need to use social media and hashtags, but don't overdo the hashtags. You need to have some important relevant content to your audience and identify who your audience is. And so we were looking at all of those elements that we want to be sure to include in our website as we look at strategy. We got to look at who's gonna monitor it, who's gonna manage our website, and what will we call our website? Do we have to get approval through the district to name our website? So I identified 3 people from our team to brainstorm those types of things for us, so we can come back with some suggestions for names for our website. I think that's all I have. Oh, we're gonna meet on a regular basis now, the 3rd Thursday of the month from 6:30 to 8. So that way you can put it on the calendar. Those who want to attend can. And I don't have to be reaching out trying to compete with everybody's busy schedule. We now know that's our meeting day.
Okay, great. So there were some people's hands that went up and went down. So Vincent's hand was up. I see Pat's. Mark, you're high up and I'm not sure what order you're in there in terms, so I'll let you sort of say that. And then Bill's hand was up and went down and it's up again.
Yep, it was
Mark was first.
Mark, Vincent, Bill, and then myself.
Great.
Well, my piece can be real quick and easy. I was just going to say that regardless of what level you decide, 5, 10, 25, I do think there's some means that this group can also just decide on now, saying like, hey, we're up to 5 now. If we want more, we'll come back. And if you agree now, say for like to an electronic email vote, there are some ways that you can go ahead and whether it be 5 or 10 now, so you don't always have to wait on final actions, even let's say for the next monthly meeting, if you want to just even any proposals like that the group agrees upon, is out there and can give you some additional flexibility in the intervening time. Because to Pat's point, point that the regular group may still want to be able to weigh in on things, but if you say now we'd like up to this amount now, and if we're ready on a website with the dollar number, we'll then email out to the whole group. Is the group good with making an email decision 2 weeks from now? So I'm just throwing out options so that you don't have to feel like we're waiting, whether it be a monthly or a quarterly meeting, some options for you.
I like that option because we would still keep you informed with information through an email so people can weigh in on it, vote on it, and then take action, So
sorry, I'm just pulling from another, a soccer board I'm part of that I know sometimes we'll, at a meeting like this, we'll say, we don't know what it's going to cost yet. So let's authorize up to this amount, but we'll then put the vote out via electronic to the group so they can weigh in when I have that information in 2 weeks. So just some thoughts.
Right. Yeah, I appreciate that. What do you think, team?
Vincent is next.
Okay.
Okay, so just so everybody knows, on our steering committee, we're talking about everything we've already talked about at our regular meetings for the last year or two. We're talking about surveys. We're talking about outreach to the committee, web design. We're talking about everything that we've talked about. And so what I'm lost in here is the usage of funds. And I don't know why it's such a big deal, but I mean, in other committees I've worked on, if we have a budget, we did expenditures, we either forward it to the district. I mean, we just look for reimbursement. So I don't know, we don't even know how we're gonna pay for anything yet. That procedure isn't even in place. I don't think anybody's talked about it yet. So in my mind, if I needed to buy a website and with GoDaddy.com or whatever, Wix.com, I think it's $129. How do I purchase something like that? Or how do we purchase flyers to distribute at an outreach event? How do we purchase it and get reimbursed? That's my question. Not is it $5,000 or $10,000? We know we have $25,000 for outreach, but how do we utilize those funds, and what's the channel for reimbursement, or who pays for it? So those are the things that are not worked out, I don't think, or at least I haven't heard how.
I think Janice touched on it, but I'll let the next person talk and I'll come back and respond to that.
Okay.
Okay.
Go, Rhonda.
And then
Bill.
Bill.
Go ahead, Pat. I'll follow you.
Vincent, I am not disagreeing that these are things that we've been talking about, but now we're down to the particulars, okay? Now we're down to the specifics. Now we're down to real costs. Now we're down to real security issues, okay? Now we're down to finding who can manage, as an example, on a website. It's actually a higher intensity piece of media. You have to have someone who's able to monitor it. You have to have someone, you have to make sure that you're hosting, and then security so that your stuff doesn't get stolen and or hijacked by other people and used. We don't need to have something and then someone's able to steal it or come in and swoop it. So you have to have people who have the knowledge and also have the obligation to protect your asset that you're putting together, right? So those are some of the things that I would like to hear on something like a website. I'm less nervous about a printed material, okay? That we can do that, and that we figure out how many units do we want to have printed so that we can be able to pass them out at a community event. I also, those are the types of things. I'm also looking for the particulars now that we're talking about, because we can say we want to do everything, right? But now how can we start to really have the rubber meet the road, right? How do we get listening sessions? How do we get, and if priority area 1 is our target, what's our mission? Who are we hitting in priority area 1? Is there a school site that's going to be that, or a neighborhood that's going to be our first focus? If we need to walk out flyers, can we even get help walking those flyers out to people door to door? Mailing is very expensive, and that can chew you up really, really quickly. So, and those types of things. That's what those are some of the things that I'm looking for as well, so that we're taking into consideration what the cost is, and that we're also looking at what's the punch that we're going to get for that expenditure. Those are some of the things that I'm asking about, that we have discussed, so that we can go, yeah, I feel good about this. Let's go. Let's add that additional $3,000 to whatever is on the budget. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you. Those are my comments.
Okay, so we have Bill, and then we have that outstanding question of exactly how the expensing and funding piece will actually happen. Go ahead, Bill.
So I think Vincent has a very good point on the mechanism of these dollars being either reimbursed or move. You know, how do we pay this bill?
Right.
To be simple about it. So whether it's again, whatever the fastest mechanism is, I think that's a very, very good point. If we decide as a committee, and this is where I think we may have some difference of opinion, I think that if we're going to do something, Rhonda, you say, I want to do X, and I've talked to 2 different vendors, this is our best price, and I think we should do this. And everybody has the discussion, says, Rhonda, we agree, let's go. I think once we have that conversation, to Vince's point, there has to be a mechanism to do it immediately. So that I agree with, whether it's a separate bank account with a debit card that Rhonda has. And again, I don't know what what strengths the district has. For me, that would be something that would make sense. We agree on the 24th to do the 23rd to do something, or 24th to do something. On the 25th, you ought to be able to do that.
Right.
So that I think we need to hash out and hash that out quickly. I do think though that if we're going to do something, all of the committee members should weigh in and agree to do something going forward, whether it is a stipend for somebody or for a survey. Those are conversations that I think that should go to the committee, and rightfully so. And if there's a disagreement there and we want to vote on just handing X amount of dollars, we can certainly do that. I just think to keep everybody informed as to what we're all doing, I think is advantageous for all of us. And again, Vincent, I understand your point. We've been talking about all this for years. No argument with you. No argument with you at all. And so let's now say, I want to do X. We're going to do it on the 4th of July, and it's going to cost $1,500. Yes, we agree. Rhonda gives the credit card, and off we go. So that would be, at least for me, the easiest way to do this. And again, debit card doesn't have to be the answer. But again, we can't wait for this to go through some bureaucracy for 40 days, and you're waiting there and you miss the event because of intended consequences. So that's my comment.
Okay, so in any event, we're going to always give you details, pros and cons, and the information needed to make an informed decision, okay? But I just need to know if there's another way to do that, like the way Mark suggested or something else, so that we can get decisions made sooner if we need them. That was my concern.
Okay.
Now, Janice,
I'm sorry.
Janice explained to us when she was at our meeting last week that this is government money. So we can't spend it when and how we want to without going through the district. It reminds me of state funds. I worked for the state. I retired from the state. I manage contracts for vendors. So you do have to have a process for paying and getting reimbursed, but you also have to have the approval process. So I get all that, but we just want to figure out a way, because we didn't take a long time to get approvals. Once the money was allocated, it's okay, you get $25,000. We just have to submit invoices showing this is what we propose to do before we make the commitment, and this is by when it needs to be done. This is how much it would cost, like you were saying, Bill, so we can move forward without us a 3-month delay waiting for a quarterly meeting.
Mark, I'm good to put you on the spot a little bit here. Do you know, and if you don't, that's fine. It's a big agency, of course. What is the mechanism? If we said today, we want to go spend $2,500 on flyers, and we've all agreed today, what happens next?
So I am going to have to dig a tiny bit, but the short version is this. We agree that we want to be able to make it happen ASAP. Our goal is not to second guess in terms of, like, you guys say you want to print out 10,000 copies of this flyer. That's definitely outreach.
Right.
We'll get that going. Now that may be something, and this is where I just need to sort of do some double check on our end. It may be because we already have printing contracts in place that we say, great, we can do that 10,000 copies. And guess what? It's not the Kinko's price of 2 cents. We have a standing contract where we're getting it for 1 cent a copy. Mm-hmm. So there may be some things like, and it will probably vary a little bit based upon the action. So things like copying, that would be my educated guess, if you will. Because I know, like right now, if I need to make copies, that's something I can basically make happen once internally, like same day,
right?
Basically.
Right.
If there's, for example, like a website, and I'm just picking a number here, like to have a website designed and done is $10,000, we might have to do a little bit more of a formal process and something like that. So I think there's gonna be a little bit of variation on it, but certainly things that are like, hey, we're ready to go now. Vincent's about to head out to this event and he needs 500 copies. Our goal is going to be to make that happen immediately, knowing that that's a committee decision.
Okay.
All right. So I think it would be good for us, and I know that, again, there's there's different folks who do different jobs, and so if Mark, if you could find out, what that mechanism is there an invoice that needs to be given? Is there a purchase authorization that needs to be given? In my agency, a PO is written, it's signed by me, it's given to accounting, they will cut the check. And so that's just a small agency, but an internal process. So if we know your internal process, and this takes 10 days, or this takes 15 days, whatever that is, I think that's good for us to know so we can plan.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think, though, that for all of us, that we don't want to, we also want to be planning ahead. And I know, Rhonda, that is your style. So if we do something and we go to the committee, we decide, and 15 days later we have our committee meeting, that should be plenty of time for all of us to say, yes, we like this, let's give this to Mark, let's get this done. So the email thing back and forth, I think for me, and I'll do it to anybody, whatever the will of the committee is, I think being informed and having these kind of conversations is advantageous. And that's a lot of what Vincent's, not complaint, it's not the right way to say it, but that's where Vincent's beef has been, is I get no information, you tell me to make a vote, and I don't have all the information. So I think for us, as we expend these dollars, for us to be able to have this conversation is healthy. And then yes, we agree. Mark, we need $1,250, and boy, we'd like to have it by Tuesday. Whatever that is.
Yeah. So in this case, we were allocated the $25K, but we weren't given any guidelines and rules on how to spend it and how to get reimbursed. And I think that was Vincent's concern. And then I understand we need to let the steering committee know our scope of plan or work so that they can make an informed decision or vote on it. But we need to be able to do that in between that 3-month period, or in between our 1-month meeting. Like you said, it could come up sooner.
Okay. I guess the only pushback I would give is that if we're planning ahead, then I don't think there should be too many instances where we have to make a decision in between meetings, I guess.
Well, one of the things that came up in our meeting last week with the subcommittee, we can't pay for stuff in advance. Okay. So let's say, for instance, because it's a government agency, and that's one of their guidelines. So let's say we wanted to buy a GoDaddy.com account. We're using it now and in the future. Saying, or we need to order like a Wix, is it Wix.com or Canva to do the design, that might be an issue if it's like, you don't have it yet because you're still building it, but you need these tools to build it. You see? So those are the kind of nuances that we need to work out as we go forward.
And I think if you said, hey, we want to do X, I think that those, if it's a $300 thing here or I think those are just part of what you're building. So if you say I have to do X and I need 3 widgets, I don't think you need to come back for a vote.
Well, that's what I need to know, like what, how, when do we come back, and how can we expedite this kind of thing? So.
Well, and I don't want to take up all the air in the room. I just think if you say, I want to do X and we think the estimate is $2,500, give or take. We say, yes, we agree, Rhonda and Vincent, let's go allocate $2,500 for that. So within that $2,500 parameter, if you need to buy, and I know nothing about technology, but if you need to buy X, Y, and Z as part of that, you don't have to come back and say, well, we want to go buy an Xbox or whatever.
Right. Okay.
That's covered in my mind, at least.
Right, but we probably need to document that so that it's clear. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and that's just my opinion. I mean, if somebody disagrees.
So I see Pat and Stephanie did have her hand up and put her hand down. Pat, you're muted. And I just was thinking, as a way to sort of encapsulate the concerns and move it forward, does it seem like it's helpful for Rhonda and the outreach subgroup to be meeting with staff offline and getting specifics on what the process is? Like, how do you all envision getting what you need to be able to move forward? And maybe Mark or some folks have ideas. Pat, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Stephanie, did your question get answered?
No, it didn't. Go ahead. I can go after you.
No, I was just saying, yes, documentation is going to be important because we also have a public obligation. These are public meetings, and people need to know what the process is. And you know, and it's not that I don't trust, but I just think that with anything, we need to build a procedure so that the process, because you may be reliable, the person who comes behind you may not be, okay, in getting something done because they say they're going to get it done. Right. And those are the things. We have to build in accountability for ourselves as well with this, right? So that's what I'm saying. Just like we need and we had asked earlier, and I think that it was being worked on to find out what the process of procurement is. And also if there are some baseline rules when you're dealing with a vendor that have to be met under this government context, we need to know that.
There are.
Right. So there always are. But we
get 3 bids.
We need to know that so that we can meet the standard, right? That's what I'm saying. And the bid isn't my brother and his cousin, and exactly those kinds of things, so that we know, so that we know that we're also building in accountability to ourselves, to the public, and to the agency, right?
Right.
So those are all those things. But if all that stuff is known up front, we can do that. Tito doesn't know how to use his hand, so make sure you stay for the training at the end, Tito. He's waving it like a wild man. I'll go to Stephanie and then Tito.
I don't think 2 hands going to be enough to get in on this conversation, and it's like 6:25, Pat. So I love your passion, bro, but we're going to have to share the time too.
Right, 2 hands and a palm tree, man.
Easy. I'm going to snap on that as well. All right. Can I guess? All right. Pat, I love what you're saying. Basically, everything you said, we said it in our meeting, in our subgroup. And so thank you for the education, but it's hard for us to have a meeting after a meeting to discuss the same topic we've discussed before. We also empower Rhonda to bring this up, right? The biggest point for us is procedure, and God forbid we do something wrong, we can get blamed for it.
Right.
Right. That's how to get anything going. However, we want that momentum. What is that de minimis amount? If it's $99, do we have to ask for permission? We just need to know, hey, anything less than $100, go ahead and do it. Because I'm not doing it by myself. God forbid I get $100, but I'm accountable for my group and for Rhonda. And God forbid Rhonda get blamed for this. So if we're gonna have this, we have to empower the team. Okay. Some fundamental basic, accountability to know that, hey, we're not doing this for ourselves. We talk about the quote, 3 quotes exactly. So I'm getting 3 quotes to make sure that if we're going to go daddy or go mommy or go sister, we're going to get a best quote out there. But procedures templates are important because I don't, like you said, Rhonda could be great, but the next person might not, right? So again, we have discussed this in our subgroup. I'm worried that if we keep talking about this and not having headway, we're not going to get anywhere, right? And some of us are even willing to commit our financial, resources and just get it done because I just have too long to get approved. You know what I mean? God forbid I got to go to a meeting and print out 3 pages and get approval for a 50-cent piece of color paper, right? Or a computer that doesn't have a hand waving option, right? Whatever it is, so that's just my point is I think we empower Rhonda to create this team, and we trust you 100%, Rhonda, and also you're open to the fact that we're still learning. So with Janice being on the group last time, we actually anticipated all these problems.
We did.
What is that the minimum amount that we can get going without having approval? And once we get that going, we'll just make it work. But I totally, all your points are well taken. Accountability.
Right. Documentation.
So I wasn't sure if there was a Stephanie question up. There was Vincent's hand up. And I just want to mention for the group, this is the first time you've had this subgroup really actively moving forward. And so you're learning as a group how the subcommittee comes back to the full group and how you all communicate. So it's a great conversation.
Right. It was Stephanie and then Vincent.
Yeah.
Okay, mine was just, I'm hearing what everyone is saying. And so, yeah, I definitely would like to know just how the procurement process is going to go. That's one thing. But then I also just wanted some clarity. I know that we voted on 4th Tuesdays for the subcommittee meeting, correct? That was the one thing that we just both voted on. Yes. But then I also heard another, Rhonda also made some, she also had expressed that there was the meeting that was going to be on the 2nd Thursday of the month. Is that right?
3rd Thursday. That's our outreach subcommittee group.
Okay.
Meeting. Our standing day.
Yeah,
3rd Thursday.
Clarity on. Third Thursday.
3rd Thursday.
Okay, 3rd Thursday of the month. Okay, that's all I was asking for. I was getting confused.
6:30 to 8. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for getting clear and asking. Vincent, go ahead.
I'll pass.
So folks, what do you have to go forward? Do you all have a proposal out of this?
Well, I propose that we get guidelines on procurement and guidelines on how to spend and know what our spending thresholds are. There should be multiple levels of thresholds so that we don't have to keep running back to get permission to spend the money that's already allocated.
Was there a proposal on the floor for the steering committee to allocate some funding to outreach? Do we want to deal with Rhonda's proposal first and then look at that other piece as well?
Stephanie has raised her hand, please.
So just what Rhonda said about the guidelines. So I think that I heard earlier that Mark was going to get back with us and kind of give us some information on the procurement. I think that also if it, even in lines with that, if there's something else that we want to add to that, I heard Rhonda talk about 3 bids. There was a number of different things that were kind of, shot off, threshold limits and things like that. And so, maybe part of the upcoming discussion is when we get the information from Mark, if we want to solidify what that's going to be comfortable with the steering committee. So then that would be the thing that will really release the subcommittee to go ahead and to make a decision and to not have to come back and forth once we know what the protocols are going to be, and we can decide as a steering committee, okay, what that level of funding is going to be, whether it's $99, no request needed over this amount, then we come back and take a vote, whatever that looks like.
Right.
But I think that when we get that information back from Mark, maybe that's one of those things that our next agenda topic item that we talk about when we meet when we have our subcommittee group.
Mm-hmm.
And then
we can probably get it through Mark or Janice.
Yeah, and then kind of vet through there and kind of talk about what those different layers, what those layers are going to be, that we can take care of, that we would be able to kind of hash that out there.
Right. Yeah. But I just wanted for the record that we got to have that to move forward. So that's all.
Do you have some any items that you are wanting to? And I think Vincent is showing us the filtration fan. I know that was one of the things that I had also thought, especially for our seniors who don't have central heating and air, but are using window air conditioning systems that do not have adequate, that may be some of a kit or a process that we might be able to build into it.
My hand's up.
Oh, your hand's up again. Okay, it never went down. So Vincent, I wasn't sure where that was. Okay, your hand is up now. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so, and this was one of the outreach items that we talked about, was making these low-cost indoor air filters.
Yeah.
And so the United Latinos, we had events. We discussed the air quality with them. We talked about some of the things we've learned through the AB 617 Steering Committee air quality information. And we also gave these out to the people who elderly, had health issues or low income. And we've used them through, we made 100, they cost $5,000, but we can get some of these parts donated and the cost comes down considerably. But Janice wasn't sure if this was an outreach qualified expenditure. So those are some of the things that we talked about, whether or not what can we do as an outreach committee. So as the steering committee, maybe we can think about this. And this was a team building fun day. We made 100 of them in about 6 hours. And there was about 30 people there, and we had food and we had coffee and drinks, but it was 105 degrees. You know, it was last month when it was 105 degrees. So we got them done. And then, but now they're ready, and it's the time to disperse these kind of things. So these were the community-based solutions to some of the air problems that we have. And so just wanted to put that out there in the outreach part. And thank you, Ariel, for reminding me what my other question was. So the initial discussion was, were we going to allot 5,000 or 10,000 to the outreach committee, even though they have a $25,000 budget? So are we allotting a certain amount today, or are we just going to work on a mechanism to utilize those funds with the steering committee participation, of course, and decision and participating in the decisions? So that's all I got to say.
Pat, go ahead.
My comment, I feel comfortable putting forward a $5,000 start, and then the mechanism of being able to increase that, I think is what we need to build. And part of that is going to be that also that kind of procurement knowledge. But I think something in that $5,000, starting with that, and that anything, you know, over, you know, $500 comes back as a, where are we going? Where are we at?
And you mean comes back to the steering committee for a vote?
Just comes back for that little check the box vote. Here we going. This is where we're at. This is what we're going.
And that is potentially something that can happen by email. Is that true or not? Was that a part of that piece?
That was an example that Mark made.
Yeah, for an email vote. We've got a budget line, right? 5,000, and then with that going on, you know, saying yes, this is, go with it. Go with that.
So that's Pat's proposal. Discussion second, how you all work on that?
If I may just throw out real quick, only because, and again, I have no concern one way or the other, whatever dollar number the group wants to talk about. Since I heard the group talk early on about a couple of different things, like upwards of 3 different elements going on right now. Another thought could just be saying, like, you know, we are still looking to have the subcommittee get some additional information on, for example, a website, but you want to put, like, say, we think it may be upwards about 5K on a website. So we want to, you know, do an attentive approval on up to 5K for a website and 5K for other efforts, whether that be copy material, whatever else the group's working on. Again, just food for thought.
Yeah.
And then you could still follow up, as Vince and others suggested, by the email, just to verify once you know some other specifics. And once we get back to you in terms of the procurement piece, but that may be a way to make sure you're good to go.
Right. Okay. I like that. What say the rest of you?
I like it. I don't think the website's going to cost anything near $5,000.
No, I don't think so.
We've all figured, we talked about it and figured out an easy way to do it all.
But at least that gives us some autonomy, you know? So, yeah.
So we've heard Mark's suggestion. I don't know if that was a friendly amendment to Pat's proposal. Or
I can't amend anything.
No, I know.
I just committee.
I'm not used to Robert's rules. So Pat and Bill, I'm going to look to you as the chair people to shepherd this process through. Based on
I've put something out there, and so what do folks want to do with it?
Pat, if you
yay, nay, amend what?
Amend. We wanted to increase.
I want to amend it.
Okay, then put it forward what you're asking for the amendment so we can have the discussion about what we want to amend.
Okay.
If I may, before, yes. Pat, would you please restate your motion? So
yes, I'm saying
clearly, and if there's going to be an amendment, then you can choose to accept the amendment.
Yeah, putting an initial an approval for an initial $5,000 for the outreach committee to initiate. Items over $500 are going to go out to an electronic vote for information to the steering committee members for electronic vote. But starting with the $5,000, that I'm putting that as the motion. Yes.
So we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second to that motion? Okay.
Then it died.
Motion fails for lack of...
Motion fails. So now put a motion on the table.
Okay.
Okay. I make a motion that we get approved for $5,000, up to $5,000 for our website. And then an additional $5,000 for other stuff. And then we need a threshold of $1,000 to come back for approval, like through electronic vote.
Okay, we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
Could you restate that? I didn't get it. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, my motion was that we get started off with $5,000. And then we have up to that $5,000 for the website built. And then we get another $5,000 for other stuff other than the website. And we go back and get approval through electronic voting for items that are $1,000 or more.
We have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the table. Do we have further discussion?
Yeah, my hand is up, Bill.
All right, that means you must want to discuss.
Yeah. On this website, is that just for the subcommittee, or they want their own website, if I'm understanding it right?
Yes.
Okay,
the district's website is so embedded with so much information, it's hard to find, and it's deeply embedded. You just can't go to things quickly.
Can I just clarify, it's not the subcommittee's website, right? It would be the steering committee. Can you clarify, Ron, on that?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Chris,
the steering committee.
Subcommittee, no, I'm sorry. It would be the steering committee's website.
Yes.
Pat, is your hand up?
Yes, it is.
Can I finish?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Great, go ahead.
If it's the steering committee's website, I'm getting confused. If I'm hearing subcommittee for...
It's the steering committee. I misspoke. It's the steering committee. It would be the steering committee website.
Okay, so if you create a new steering committee website, can that website piggyback off the district's website?
Yes, it would link. We'd have links back to that.
So why would we want to pay for that website? Is it something the district can do to help create the website for the subcommittee? I mean, for the...
they don't have the people to do it or the money.
I can answer that really quick, though.
One second. Point of order, if I may.
All right.
Pat, you have your hand up. First of all, Bishop, did you get your question answered?
Did not.
No, I'm still confused.
Okay, Pat, can you shed light?
Let's answer his question first before we go to mine.
Okay.
And for that, Vincent, you think you have an answer to Bishop's question?
Yes, our website will have information from the AB 61 steering committee, the things, the monitors, the charts. And the Air District has already gave us links to all those information. We just have to open those up on our own webpage and it'll be there. But the reason we thought of the web page is because everybody I've asked to go to the Air District to find our stuff has struggled, you know what I mean? And so we want to be public friendly. We want to be user friendly. We want to be able to reach out to the communities and then say, here's it is, click this, and you're there. And so the districts gave us all the information. We're just going to put it on one page for everybody to get there. I hope that helps you a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not going to cost $5,000 to do that. I already know.
No, it's not.
Nowhere near.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris, so you're done, and now we're shifting over to Pat and then Vincent.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes, my questions is, and I want to go back to the piece, and this is because I know personally of people's issues, or their people's social media being hacked. Okay, so I would like to know, and this is where I know it doesn't take anything to get like a GoDaddy, you know, or whatever else. That getting that piece isn't hard at all. Mm-hmm. It's getting something that's designed, that's functional, that gets people, that draws people's eyes. Mm-hmm. And that's why people get paid to design web pages as mm-hmm. well, so that you have a nice flow and format to it. Okay, and then who is going to monitor it? Who is going to be updating it? Who is going to fix the broken links? Mm-hmm. Who is it? And that's what I'm saying. I want all of that in the package.
Right.
I want just to go buy GoDaddy, right? And so I know GoDaddy is going to be less than $200. What's the rest of it? And you do need to take into consideration, because it might be less than 5,000. It might not be less than 5,000. If you're paying someone to monitor, if you're paying someone to be able to fix your links, if you're paying someone to bring your new design web information up and that kind of stuff, so that it looks appealing and doesn't look like a dog pulled it out of the garbage can and whacked it up on a page on the thing. We've all seen good web pages and we've all seen crappy web pages. If we're going to spend the money, let's not have it look like a piece of junk.
We're not going to do that.
That's what I'm saying. And Rhonda, this is nothing against you guys. I understand that. And I understand people not wanting to hear the same discussion they had in their meeting. But this is the first time that the entire body is being able to hear this. So we do need to have it. That doesn't mean we have to have the same discussion next month, but we do need to have a full letting of the discussion this time. And this is the first time I've been able to vocalize, these are things that we want to have in our website as well. And so that's where I'm nervous about saying, yeah, go ahead and do it, and then have something that's a piece of junk. As opposed to, hey, can we get, what is it gonna take to get all this stuff? Do we have the security package that we need to have? Who's going to be updating it? Who's going to be monitoring it? Blah, 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 blah. That kind of stuff, right? And how does stuff get on and how does stuff get removed? There's a whole lot of procedures and stuff to be able to do that. And I'm not saying withhold that money. I'm just saying you need to make sure that you have it so that it launches. And I know it's going to be more than $500. It might not be 5, but it ain't going to be 1. So what is it going to take? And so I'm not saying stop in the interim, but I'm saying let's make sure that we get the full piece of information. All right, I'm done.
So we have Vincent, we have Stephanie, we have Rhonda, and we have Bishop. So
hold on a second. I think we also have Tito in there, who's valiantly trying to figure out how to raise his hand.
Okay. Poor Tito. I'm sorry, Tito. Just go like this over the palm tree.
I don't want to get yelled at again.
No, you're not yelled at.
Okay. let's go to people who haven't spoken so far. So continue.
Okay.
I think they've all spoken.
Tito, if you're up first, go ahead, Tito.
Yeah, I passed to Tito. I'll go after him. Go ahead, Tito.
Go ahead, Tito.
Okay. No, all point well taken, Pat and everyone else. We talked about the protocol. Some of us have run organizations, nonprofit and business, and God forbid my business get hacked. So we know the cost of having security issues. So yes, Pat, I know we want to discuss this. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying we did bring these issues up. And again, we're going to bring it up again because we're not going to get approved on anything unless you guys approve it. But right now, we just need to know if there are some allocations for some funding. This website is continuous, and I know the cost of bringing and hosting a website, right? So we're not going to come back and ask for another 10,000. We're just saying here that we're very frugal and we're very careful in spending our community's money, right? So yes, we do have understanding that there are protocols to make sure that there's security aspect of it, but at least entertain the idea that Rhonda and the team are doing everything we can to create a website as one of many pieces, right, of this whole outreach community, because we talked about questionnaires and surveys and all these little things, which will be approved and be discussed as well. That's all we're saying, that your point well taken, Pat, and everybody else, we consider the security and the hacking and all that. And I hope, Rhonda, you don't come up with a crappy website, because that's going to make me look bad. So I'm not having to stand a little higher than a crappy website. But maybe,
oh, no.
Maybe that's why it's crappy.
Okay.
I'm just going to put the fire of action in front of you all. It is 7:50. We don't have any members of the public to speak, so there's no public comment, but we're 10 to 8. So if we all just wanted to let you know.
Thank you.
It's Vincent, Stephanie, Rhonda, and Bishop.
And all I was just going to add is we've only met one time and discussed all of these topics last month. We did meet twice, but this was the first time we talked about what we were going to do with our budget. And so we're moving forward, and we're moving forward very well. And I encourage everybody else to join us on our scheduled meeting on the third Thursday of every month.
Thank you, Vincent. Stephanie.
Okay, great. So I am in favor of the funding up to the $5,000 for the website. I am in favor of developing a website. What I'd like to ask, in consideration, I just reflecting back to an example that Mark gave, and he was talking about things that maybe the district does, like printing flyers, and they get things at a different cost. With that being said, I'm just wondering what type of cost would be associated with whoever built the district's website. If they're, whoever that particular vendor is, that type of thing. I know that the district is not going to take on the cost of doing this, and we've already understood that, but just wondering if we have any access to them, to whoever has built that website out, to see if we can get something a little bit more that would kind of incorporate some of the other things that have been brought up, such as security and so forth. That way, being able to meet the goals and objective of having the website where we would control the content and have that all of those things that we want, and then at the same time maybe being able to have a sense of security about the way that it is designed and built. And that's just kind of like that's my thought. And would just ask if as Mark is coming back with this other information about the procurement piece, that maybe he could also pass forward that information on the district's access to that web page design or something like that for consideration as well. But again, I am in favor of website and the dollars that need to be spent. And also considering the safety concerns that we've talked about, and the managing, breaks and links and things like that have also kind of came up. So just trying to bring something in between. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Rhonda, you are next, and then Bishop.
I just want to ditto what Tito said. I think it was well said. So okay. We're not going to do anything. We say we're doing a website, but we're going to bring you back details before we actually commit to anything. So we're going to come back with here's who we're looking at. This is what the security measures are. You know, this is what we plan to have on it. And, you know, we just need approval now, like to hit the go button so we can make it happen. So you're always gonna be in the loop, you know, and we're gonna try to make it as professional as we possibly can so that it will make everybody proud.
Okay. Bishop.
Yes, sir. I am still a little confused, but not as much as I was, as far as the websites, the cost, and I will reflect back to what Pat was saying, a little bit what Tito was saying. If I'm saying this and I maybe misunderstood some of y'all, I would like to see, for instance, when you say we want this website, we want to be approved with this money and all this. Do you have anyone, or can we look at, for instance, who's going to monitor this if there's a hacking? Who's going to do this? Can we come up with that, at least 3 of them, and say this is how much it's going to cost, this is how much this is going to cost, so we won't have to go back to that later? Can it all be done and given at one point in time, and we can just say, okay, cool, go for it?
That's what I was saying.
Thank you, Bishop. And I think
that's what I meant.
What Tito was saying.
Yeah.
That could bring the proposal with all the particulars at one time. So that, my understanding, that's what Tito was saying.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So we have a motion and we have a second on the table. Rhonda, could you reiterate your motion and second, or both? Second doesn't matter. We have a second.
We have a second. The motion was that I proposed that we get approved for up to $5,000 for a website, and also another $5,000 for other things for the outreach committee to do, and with a threshold for that money of $1,000 that we have to go back. If we spend $1,000 or more, we got to go back and get approval for that.
Okay. We have a motion, and we have a second on the table. Bishop, did you have some? Okay. So we have.
Yeah, quickly. That's. Say it again.
Go ahead.
I was saying quickly on the website builders. How many are we choosing? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to see what they're charging to build it?
That will be, if I may, that will be part of the proposal that they bring.
Okay.
Okay. I'm good. Dollar amount.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm good.
So we have a motion and a second with discussion. Pat, call the roll, please.
I see Stephanie's hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Stephanie.
No, it just went up.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
I just have an amendment, in that the price would just be the $500 coming back instead of the $1,000. But yes to the $5. Yes, I'd like to, what Rhonda stated, up to the $5,000 for the website, the $5,000 for the other marketing materials that need be, and then the $500 instead of $1,000 having to come back to the steering committee, that it would be $500. That's why I'm proposing that amendment.
Okay, Rhonda, we have a friendly amendment. Are you in agreement?
Uh,
And if you're not, you don't have to be. I just, you know, you are the motion maker.
Okay, I guess I can agree to that friendly amendment.
Okay, so we have a motion with a friendly amendment. Pat, would you please call the roll?
All right. Bill Knowlton.
Aye.
Bishop Chris Baker.
Yes.
Gary Johansson.
Yes.
Patricia Shelby. Yes. Rhonda Henderson.
Yes.
Stephanie Williams.
Yes.
Tito Hong.
Yes, ma'am.
Valdez.
Yes.
Steve Blanton.
I'm sorry, Tito made me laugh. I'm sorry.
Okay. Oh, Steve Blanton, you're muted. Are you available? He's probably taking care of some other business at this time. All right, so motion carries. We have one non-vote. So the motion carries.
And I would just say that this is healthy. This is what we're supposed to be doing, guys. And sometimes it gets a little painful, but we got through it. And actually we got through it in about 45 minutes, this piece. So, you know, we did okay. You know, Tito, I'm like you, I'll roll my eyes in a second, you know. Things get long, but we accomplished it. And so I think this speaks well of us. And so thank you everyone for your participation.
Okay. So we did kind of blow through our schedule, and we were supposed to have a training so that we would be able to use our Zoom better. But there was also going to be a request on the table, and maybe we need to just move everything to this date to look at September, early September. If you look at your calendars, I believe we were looking at potentially Thursday, September 2nd.
For
a training, for the Zoom, for us to use this Zoom and to, Ariel, was that because you would be conducting the training, but you also have later in the month, you have other obligations that were coming forward?
It's because the convening is the week we would normally meet.
Correct, and we don't want to interfere with the third Thursday with the subcommittee meeting. So what say you?
Moi or the steering committee?
Steering committee.
That's what I thought. Okay.
For the full training, because we've kind of blown through our training hour tonight.
Is that a Labor Day weekend?
No, Labor Day. Labor Day is Monday the 6th. So yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, maybe Labor Day.
That's the Thursday, the beginning of the Labor Day.
Not the Friday.
Okay. Okay.
But it starts Labor Day weekend.
How long do your weekends get?
4-day weekends.
4 days. Agreed. Okay.
So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, right? Wouldn't that be
last long weekend of the year?
No wearing white after that. No white.
Right. So,
I love that commercial with the guy sitting on the beach.
Right. So you're saying Thursday you can't do?
I can't do
it. Would somebody like to propose something else, or would you like us to try to send out some options on a doodle?
We're also talking about videotaping the training.
That's true.
When it happens.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
okay.
So some of you who have to have a 5-day weekend may not be able to come that Thursday.
Although I'm not going anywhere. I'm scared of the coronavirus.
I'm scared of COVID.
So I'm not going anywhere, so I can attend.
I do have to say though, although I think part of the angle of the training is we're making you all co-hosts, and you're able to
you are going to
share screens, do things. So yeah.
What was the time on that, Ariel or Pat? Was it evening again? Is that?
We're looking at evening again to try to accommodate people's workday schedule. So like 6 o'clock in the evening.
Okay.
So
I'm kind of rolling with Vincent on this deal.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's perfectly fine. You just have to give a viable alternative. So I'm
or watch the video, the training video.
Well, you don't become a co-host doing that. But
how does the first look to anybody?
Okay.
The first
Wednesday.
Yeah.
The 6th
Even
day.
Vincent and I could make that work.
I'd like the Wednesday.
Wednesday?
Okay.
Wednesday the 1st. I could do that.
September 1st. Okay, Vincent, come on now.
I'm in.
Okay, good. Tito, is that possibility for you? Okay, it's good for Tito. Okay, excuse me, my brothers and sisters, I will give you your 5-day weekend.
There you go. There you go.
All right, all right.
Hey, I'm
good,
off.
good
I have to do some labor work tomorrow. Okay.
And what was the timing on the 1st? Was it 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Okay. All righty.
All right, guys. I believe that we are adjourned. I think this has been the best meet. Pat, go ahead.
No, I just want to say thank you. Because, you know, we just have not had the time to really just discuss things as a group before. I very much appreciate it. And let me be clear. I think you guys are great. I think the work that you're doing is wonderful. And please don't mistake me asking about stuff that I don't know about, that I'm asking to make sure that and you guys are on it, on point. So thank you so much for everything that you are doing. And I'm hoping that what we find in this training, we have the capability of doing breakout sessions. We can do workshops. We can do listening sessions with the public now. And that's why I need us all to be at that training on the 1st. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
It will become an important tool of our public engagement.
Yes.
And I'm going to send out an email asking you guys what are the most important parts of Zoom that you all need to know. And some of you already may be great Zoom jockeys, and you're there and available for your fellow steering committee members too. So get clear on that.
Can I just say right now, please also help us if there are issues about lighting that we should do so that we don't look like we're in shadows or sound or all of those sorts of things. Yeah, I see you're in shadow today, Ariel.
Tito's on the Big Island.
So those types of things also to help us make the best presentations that we can for ourselves.
All right. All right.
It's been a great meeting. At least for me, I think this is one of the best meetings we have had
Everybody
in a long time. Great job.
Lots of good discussion and interaction. It was great.
Yeah.
As your facilitator. Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys. Have a nice evening.
All right. Thank you.
Get ready for Labor Day.
Oh, wait, Tito, were you saying bye or are you raising your hand?
Well, no, real quick. I love you guys. In the spirit of unity with Steve, can we maybe have a card for him and send him my best wishes?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know I've gone through all types of losses, and my sibling was my hardest. Yep. So, okay. We will.
All right.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you guys.
All right. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.